It's time for Waking Up with Wesley. Today's forecast and weather-wise discussion with WLOX First Alert Weather's senior meteorologist, Wesley Williams.
Waking Up with Wesley is sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.
Let's try that again. Hello there, I'm Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams. Thank you so much for waking up with Wesley. So we're tracking some rain showers for you this Thursday morning, and this is a look at what it looks like on I-10 and Gulfport, where some heavy showers and storms did recently pass through. However, there are some other areas that are even rainier than that, and that's what we want to get to this morning, the potential for some pretty heavy rain in parts of South Mississippi. So as we go to the satellite and first alert radar, you can see where it says Gulfport on the map. Not quite as rainy this morning in parts of Gulfport compared to areas that are near Pascagoula. That's where the rain is rocking and rolling this morning. There's actually a special weather statement in place until 9 a.m. for Jackson County. So those special weather statements come out when a thunderstorm is expected to become strong enough to produce heavy downpours, frequent lightning, and gusty winds. And that's probably what's happening this morning in parts of Pascagoula. I do have an MDOT cam that I would like to take a look at, although they may be experiencing some power outages in that area of Jackson County this morning because the rain was kind of blowing sideways on one of these views. Let's see if I can pop on over to our MDOT cam. So this is a look at the MDOT website, and what I was trying to do was pop up this video. Let's see. So yeah, there you go, the full screen video of the pouring rain in Pascagoula this morning. This is a strong thunderstorm in that area that will stay there for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And you can see right there beneath the street lamp, some of that rain is not falling straight down. It's kind of blowing to the side a little bit. I think the strongest part of this thunderstorm has actually passed east of here. You can see the tree leaves blowing a little bit in the wind. But I think if we go a little bit more to the east of that, continue down Denny Avenue, might get an even windier picture. I'm going to look for a cam that has a bit more zoom. Let's go over to Denny and Chico Road. See, those aren't very zoomed in. We're going to go down a little more. Well, that one's kind of messed up. Let's see if I can find maybe one more. This might be the one. And it's not working. Okay, let's try another MDOT cam. Come on, MDOT. Don't film me now. Okay, so there's something there that's a little more zoomed in. I don't think the rain is moving in, so that's one spot there. Highway 90 where it meets Highway 63. That's one spot where the rain is moving in right now. And you can see the camera is actually shaking because the wind is blowing so strongly in that area. Those are those wind gusts that I was talking about. So we can kind of do a little side-by-side comparison. And again, remember, you are looking at Highway 90 where it meets Highway 63. And we can switch over to the first alert radar. And I've circled where that camera is located, right in that white circled area. So we just saw the front of that thunderstorm move in from the west. And if I pause the radar, I will draw here this front edge of a thunderstorm. Wherever the thunderstorm is moving, it's moving from west to east. So that means right in front of that first part, that's where you're going to see some of the strongest winds. So if you are in that portion of Jackson County, that near Pascagoula, Gaucher, Moss Point, a lot of you have already seen the strongest winds out of this. So that's a good thing. Now the strongest part of the thunderstorm is actually moving east of you into a more rural area near the Alabama line. But those areas that were just to the west of that went through exactly what you are seeing on this MDOT cam. Look at that car driving. Look at the water coming up on the wheels. My goodness, the water is almost to the roof of the car. My goodness, you got to slow down, otherwise you might hydroplane. This camera is still shaking, still wobbling at Highway 90 near Highway 63, very close to Pascagoula. Look, we're driving with the hazards on right here, hazards on. 3 cars, hazards on. 4, 5, 6. Hazards, we're driving across the white line. 7. Everyone's got their hazards on. Why? Because the weather is acting up in that area. Strong winds with a thunderstorm, pouring rain. You know the weather's bad when everyone's driving with their hazards on. The road's probably flooding in that area too. Again, as we track that strong thunderstorm through eastern Jackson County, the good news is that the worst of the wind in that thunderstorm has moved past Pascagoula, but it is still impacting areas to the east of that, closer to the Alabama line. This is a look at that alert that just came out that goes until 9 in the morning, the special weather statement. This is kind of the in-between that the National Weather Service, they use this alert when it's not quite a severe thunderstorm, but it's also not just a regular thunderstorm. It's a little bit stronger, not to the level to where it's going to cause damage, but it's certainly to the level to where it will disrupt your plans. It will make you turn your hazards on when you're driving through those conditions. And again, this is a look at that first alert radar, seeing the showers and storms continuing to move eastward. Now, even though the windiest part of this thunderstorm has now moved east of Pascagoula, look at what else we're seeing, the lightning. So this is, this episode of Waking Up with Wesley is kind of a Jackson County special. A lot of the focus on Jackson County. Why? Because that's where the most active weather is at the time of this broadcast, this stream, this video. So a lot of lightning with this thunderstorm that's actually over Jackson County. You're hearing the crack of thunder near Van Cleve, near Ocean Springs and St. Martin and Gulf Park Estates as this continues to move east. But at least the windiest part of the storm is ending for many of you and is moving over the Alabama line. Hopefully we don't get any damage reports out of this. We've been able to be kind of spared from wind damage reports for most of this week in our viewing area. So I would hope that that trend continues. I do, right before we go, I want to check one last cam. This one will be the farthest east you can go, which is basically at the Welcome Center. This one doesn't zoom in a lot, so it might not really look that impressive. The more you zoom out, the less impressive the weather looks. But I'm telling you, if you were driving and you were behind the steering wheel, look, we got flashers. I'm telling you, these are some conditions that will make you turn those hazard lights on this morning, driving on I-10 out of Mississippi into Alabama. Not everyone's turned the hazards on, but a few people, when those conditions become too intense, that's what winds up happening. That pouring rain, it causes you to lose visibility on the road. And the wind can kind of make you almost feel like you're losing control of your vehicle if it's blowing too heavily. So that's kind of the now portion of this video. We'll get to the forecast portion of this video, which is going to show that this rain is not going to linger forever. We're going to see some improvement. Areas like Wiggins, you're already done. Look at this. The rain stopped in Wiggins. The rain has stopped in Poplarville, in Picayune, in Diamond Head. We still have some showers in portions of Harrison County, but it's pretty light compared to what was happening an hour ago. And in George County, also the rain turning a bit lighter. It's just Jackson County where we're still dealing with the heaviest of the thunderstorms with that special weather statement in place until 9 a.m., another 10 minutes for y'all. This will all go over the Alabama line. Our computer models have been doing a really good job, I think, of getting the placement of what's happening right now in reality. So if the computer model can tell us pretty accurately what's happening now, then it increases the confidence on what it's telling us about what will happen in the future. And as we go through time, notice the heavier storms will move over the Alabama line. Does that mean that everyone's done? No. I do think that we could see some redevelopment later this morning. Look at the model showing a couple of those. Maybe another storm popping up near Waveland Bay, St. Louis. Maybe another one popping up near the Barrier Islands. So there could be a few new developing storms. Even after this stuff moves over the Alabama line during the next hour, we could see new storms popping and forming before noon today. That sort of trend could actually continue into the afternoon. So that's why I'm hesitant to decrease the rain chance. While this morning, there's rain for many of us. That's why the chance for rain is way at 80%. This afternoon, there will be some rain for some of us. And so the chance comes down maybe to around 60% on the coast. Might only be 50% for some of the inland areas. You can see by 1 or 2 p.m. still seeing some showers very close to the beaches. But those other areas north of I-10 looking kind of dry with the sun coming out. Temperatures there might crank up into the mid-80s by that point of the day. Don't get too complacent because later this evening, new storms could still develop. Look at this 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., seeing new thunderstorms developing. So maybe at some point later this evening, could see some new development, even though we might get a break for some places during the afternoon. The reason why we can't shake these showers just yet is because we're still in a pattern ahead of a cool front. A cool front is expected to move in tomorrow, and that will help to change things up for the weekend. But today you can see that blue color, if not purple color, on top of the map for parts of South Mississippi and nearby. And so that means there is that risk of moderate to heavy rain. We've seen probably some of the heaviest rain we're going to see the whole day, I think, this morning. And now the attention turns to the cool front, which you can track by using the dew point numbers. Yesterday we used the zoomed out map. Today we're going to use the zoomed in map to get more details so you can see exactly when our weather pattern is going to change. Today it's not changing. It's staying muggy. It's staying where it's going to feel hot, and it's staying with high rain chances. Tomorrow morning still the same, but here comes the front. You can see it getting closer to the coast, and it finally passes through South Mississippi by Friday evening. What that will do is help to pull in the drier air from the north. You can tell because look, our numbers are in the 70s, dew point numbers in the 70s tomorrow evening, indicating it's going to feel either gross or tropical. But then by tomorrow night, woo, look at all that drier air coming in from the north. Dew point numbers crashing into the 50s, so it's going to feel pleasantly crisp by the time you wake up on Saturday morning. Look at all those nice and pleasant dew points in the 50s for Saturday morning across South Mississippi, and it stays that way into the majority of your Saturday. So that's good news there, that even though it is muggy on Thursday, muggy on Friday, the payoff is when we get the cool front to help us to dry out for Saturday as well as for Sunday. And some of the mugginess could come back next week, so don't be caught off guard by turning muggier a little bit day by day next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But at least we get to enjoy a couple of days of relief, even if it is brief. So your 7-day forecast showing those lower humidity days on Saturday and Sunday. There will also be some cooler mornings. We haven't talked a lot about the cooler morning temperatures because we've been so busy talking about all the rain, and I'm basically out of time here. But I do want to briefly mention in our morning temperature forecast, we can take a really quick look at that and notice that for Friday morning, still mild with 60s and 70s, but look at Saturday morning, looking at 66 on the coast in a place like Biloxi, Ocean Springs, anywhere south of I-10, and then looking at 61, maybe 62 in places like Van Cleve, places like the Kills, Saussure, Wiggins, Perkinston, Poplarville, Lucedale, anywhere north of I-10, getting those inland cooler temperatures. This happens again, not just one, but 2 mornings in a row that we're going to see mid to lower 60s in South Mississippi on both Saturday morning and Sunday morning. 2 cool weekend mornings just for you. We go to Monday morning of next week, the coast is going to get milder, probably a morning temp around 70, but some inland places could still find some mid 60s by next Monday morning. So I did want to briefly touch on that before we go. And then of course you can get the 10-day forecast for your South Mississippi location anytime by using our First Alert weather app. But just a hint that as we go to next week, the rain chances don't look like they're going to be all that high like this week. So that allows the heat to crank up, especially for our inland locations. We are looking at inland temperatures rising to the lower 90s, a stretch of 90s from next Monday to basically next Saturday, June 7th. Our coastal areas might not hit 90 each day, but the inland ones, they're pretty close to that sort of hot time of year as we get into the month of June next week. But we'll talk more about the temperature forecast tomorrow as we get closer to the drier weekend. For now, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Waking Up with Wesley. I've been Senior Meteorologist Wesley Williams, and it's a Thursday morning as we gear up for Friday. I want you to plan to enjoy spending some time outside this weekend because it's going to be so nice. I can't wait.
Waking Up with Wesley has been sponsored by Exclusive Auto Brokers. For the best deals on wheels, visit Exclusive Auto Brokers on Beatline Road in Long Beach.